So what's this like for you guys? You Comic-Con regulars? You done much SDCC?
I have gone to Comic-Con, but sitting up here and doing all this stuff is pretty surreal. So to be doing a panel and opening for Dan Harmon, pretty cool. Yeah.
Woo! It's actually my first Comic-Con 4 hours ago. It's like the first time I've ever stepped foot in Comic-Con.
Yeah?
And it's been quite an experience.
Not bad, your first Comic-Con and you're bringing a show, a major broadcast network primetime show.
By the way, what a coincidence that everyone's wearing hot dog bucket hats. That is weird.
You guys look great.
Well, why don't you guys start things off a little bit by telling us about the origins of Universal Basic Guys, and you know, not to kind of start talking about sort of politics and universal basic income, and we could get really wonky here, but I'd love to sort of hear the origin story of the show.
Let's get wonky.
Let's get wonky.
So I'd say it starts with the character, like of Mark Hoagie's, and like we grew up in the Philadelphia area in South Jersey, and I grew up. Let's go, dude! Here we go.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that accent in a moment. We'll get back to that.
So I grew up listening to sports radio, and everybody who calls sports radio in Philadelphia is a genius, and they all know more than the coach and everybody like that. I just hear caller after caller like, "Yeah, what is this defense doing? The coach has no idea. They got to run the ball and all that stuff." And that just developed a voice that we created. It's a little bit my dad. It's our dad, I suppose. At least we got a
This would be a real awkward moment.
Yeah, that's one of the surprises. We find out we're not brothers. So we developed that character, and then if you want to talk about the other component.
Yeah, well, so we came up with the concept in 2020. We had just left Bleacher Report. We had this character, and we were thinking, like, what's the funniest, place to put this character? And we're sitting around trying to think of a concept, and our wives are watching us, and like, are you working right now? Are you doing anything? And we're like, I promise you,
we're making a cartoon. It's gonna be a fuck someday.
Yeah, and but at the time, it just seemed like we were just twiddling our thumbs, and like. Also, everyone at that time were getting this stimulus checks, and people were working from home and like learning how to bake bread or learning a second language and like discovering new hobbies. And we're thinking like, what if we just, we're heading towards this path of like artificial intelligence, and we're talking about automating our jobs away. And at a certain point, like there could be a future that like Andrew Yang was talking about, where everyone's out of work, and we're kind of rendered useless to society, and we have to find purpose in that world where we're no longer needed, and like, what is that going to look like? And so we thought, okay, what if we have some guys that lose their jobs to automation, and they start on an experimental UBI pilot program. I guess in this case it would be just BI, it would be basic income, it wouldn't be universal, but how would they spend their days? What would they do? And you have that fantasy when you're sitting at work and you're like, man, I could be an airline pilot if I just did a flight simulator, or I could learn how to shoot a crossbow.
If I had time, I could go be a Navy SEAL, no problem. Just lift some logs on the beach, no big deal, whatever. And so it was, we figured that was like a fun sandbox to play in. You see all these, a lot of workplace comedies, but it's like the anti-workplace comedy. It's like, what happens to a guy with a big ego, he thinks he can do everything when he actually has the time to put his money where his mouth is and try those things. And so that's really where it came about.
Well, talk about the brothers, and any comparison to the real life give and take between the two of you.
Yeah, I would say
so. Yeah, Mark Hoagie's is like the know-it-all, impulsive, starts things, never finishes things guy, and then Hank Hoagie's, who's Mark, you're the coolest guy ever, is basically. Craig, when he was younger and looked up to me, I'm 6 years older.
Yeah, so like I was like 9 and Adam was like 15, and he would like be like, "Yo, Craig, I'm gonna do something. Let's go into Philly and do something crazy." And like I was like, "Yeah, sure, whatever. Yeah, you're cool." And so we're like, "Okay, what if we just did that for our characters? Sort of like this like like Laurel and Hardy type of comedy duo. Like just like the bossy guy and the dumb guy.
Like the classic comedy duo, but it really was like." Craig, as he grew up and started working with me, started to realize, oh my God, I think my older brother's an idiot. But before, he really looked up to me, and we wanted to carry that dynamic through. And so Mark, he's like, Hank is the one guy in the world who takes Mark really seriously and buys into everything he says. And so he's kind of his sounding board for that. That's the way Craig was when we were younger. Not anymore.
No, a little more equal partnership.
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about this accent. Well, congratulations, and all weekend actually, if you see versions of Mark Hoagie's around Comic-Con, right?
Yeah. If you see Mark Hoagie's, you saw one of them here, and also our walking hot dogs.
Here they come again.
There you go.
There we
In case
go.
you don't know what a hot dog, like the size of a person looks like, there you go.
So if you see them walking around, you can scan a QR code from them.
And I think you also win a check for $3,000 or something.
Or some additional prizes. I don't know.
Okay, I don't know. Yeah.
It'll be
do that.
some fun stuff.
You would, now I have to pay you that legally. Shit.
So you are the first people in the world now to watch the very first episode, or one of the first episodes.
Yeah. We actually don't know the order, but I will say this is the third episode that we wrote. It's one we're proud of. It's actually the third 22-minute script that we ever wrote, because we did shorts and everything before this. And so, yeah, we're really excited to share this with you. It's really the first time it's going out and anyone's really seeing it. So this is episode 103 called Pet Projects, and thanks for being here, and we hope you enjoy it. So thanks, everybody.
And stick around after for Dan Harmon.
Woo! If you like cartoons, movies, books, music, I demand you subscribe to this channel. Subscribe, be prepared for doom. Subscribe or be prepared for doom. Do not resist. Do not resist. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe.